All right, welcome back to the channel. My name is Coach Jordan Hargrave. So today we're going to be reading an email. This person is dealing with some very severe depersonalization to the point that they've gone completely emotionally numb. So emotional numbness is not just the absence of positive emotion, it's the absence of all emotion. And in deeper states of numbness, you can start to not feel the urge to use the restroom. You can become numb to physical pain. You don't feel whenever you're getting hungry. I've got a couple clients that are in this state right now. It's the deepest state of trauma, and it's one of the more difficult states to come out of, but it's very doable. I see people come out of it all the time when I'm working with clients. And I was in this state at different times during my own journey of going through symptoms. I went through 2 years, 24/7 DPDR, 5 years off and on. There was a point I was having 20 panic attacks a day, every anxious symptom that you can imagine. In fact, I spent over 15 years with generalized anxiety. But anyway, I'm fully recovered now. I've spent the last 8 years helping other people recover too. And I will tell you, I'm seeing people come out of this left and right. It's just incredible to me at how whenever we do things that show the brain, body, and nervous system that you're safe, you can break out of this, okay? But with that being said, it's causing a lot of issues in their marriage, and the wife is doing everything she can to kind of understand what the husband's going through, but he feels just very emasculated. He feels very weak. He feels broken, and she really can't understand what he's going through because you can't understand depersonalization or derealization unless you've been through these symptoms. And even though she cares about him and she loves him, it's just creating a lot of issues. So anyway, we're going to read this email. I'm going to give some tips and some advice, some encouragement. Smash the like if you are excited to hear about this situation so you can learn that you're not alone. Let's go and read it. So, hi, Jordan. About 6 months ago, I had what I guess was a panic attack, but it didn't feel like what people describe. My heart was racing, sure, but the main thing was this sudden snap feeling, like something unplugged inside me. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at my hands and thinking, these don't feel like mine. So, initially, my depersonalization realization happened after a bad marijuana experience back in 2008. And I'll never forget, like, at first, I looked to my friends to calm me down. That didn't work because they were afraid that we would get caught with the weed. And I was like, call an ambulance. I'm going to die. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I was kind of pacing back and forth. So then I kind of started to fight the feeling of a heart attack and kind of flee from it. That didn't work. And there was a moment where I tried to look to them to calm me down. Didn't work. I was trying to fight or flee. Didn't work. And eventually it felt like there was like this short circuit in my brain. It almost felt like electricity. But all of a sudden, I felt like I was watching myself from outside of myself, and everything started to become very slow. Like time felt slower. Everything felt very cold and colorless and dreamlike. So that would be derealization. I basically felt like I was out of my body. So depersonalization, not a full out of body experience, but it felt like I was just behind myself and a little bit to the left, almost like I was watching myself on a video camera that was just like right here. And that sent me into even more panic, and my heart started racing faster because it was so terrifying. But anyway, um, it definitely throws a lot of people off because if you don't know why the symptoms are happening, you start to think that your brain's broken. You start to think that you're going crazy. And the stress from the symptoms of traumatic stress, which depersonalization, derealization happen at the point of traumatic stress, the point that your nervous system feels too trapped or overwhelmed to fight or flee, they're terrifying. They literally are terrifying. It's your brain, body, and nervous system preparing as if you're about to get eaten by a lion. There's a shutdown in the brain regions that are responsible for your connection to your body, yourself, and your environment. It's technically a series of brain structures that resemble a mohawk haircut, kind of goes from side to side. That's why Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps a Score book, calls it the mohawk of self-awareness. And it's believed that this is kind of nature's last gift. If you're going to be eaten by the lion, you might as well not feel it. And if you were being eaten by a lion, you definitely would prefer to be dissociated, which means to separate, right? If you feel out of your body, everything feels fake and dreamlike, that is a heck of a lot better than feeling the pain of being eaten by a lion. But whenever there's no lion, and in this case, you're just having a panic attack. And by the way, a lot of people don't have a panic attack before depersonalization realization sets in, okay? But regardless, you're just going through normal life, and maybe there's a series of stressors that build up, and maybe it's not even a huge stressor that causes you to hit that overwhelm point. Maybe it's just a singular stressful situation, but it's like If you haven't been educated on these symptoms, it's very easy to kind of use deductive reasoning that I must be going crazy. And so, again, people get traumatized by the trauma symptoms. Trauma is a state of overwhelming stress, and DPDR are trauma coping mechanisms. And that stress about the trauma coping mechanisms, because they're so terrifying and people don't know why they're happening, becomes a layer of stress to add to the existing layers of stress that prevents your nervous system from downregulating. Okay. And this happened with me. I thought, they must have laced the weed with something for years and years and years. I just sat around and I was like, well, my friends didn't have this reaction. And so if they didn't have this reaction and I did, then they must have put something in the weed. Maybe they put opiates or whatever. But anyway, that definitely wasn't true. I had had a very stressful history. You could see it as like a cup of water, which this coffee is from like 5 days ago before Christmas vacation. So this is nasty coffee. But anyway, it's basically, see your body is like this cup. And most of the clients that I work with, where it's just like 24/7 DPR for many months or many years, they've usually had a pretty stressful history. And then there's kind of like this escalating event, but it's not the event that traumatizes them. It's that event and the stress from it, coupled with the pre-existing stress and fatigue and unprocessed emotion in their body, that causes them to hit that overwhelm point. So let's continue on. Ever since then, I don't feel like a real person. I go through the motions, I talk, I work, I laugh at the right spots, but it feels like I'm watching myself do all of it from slightly behind my eyes. Like my body is on autopilot and me is just floating. Yeah, that's the thing, is you kind of just feel like you're a robot kind of going through the motions, almost like a puppet on strings. And eventually, if the symptoms are ongoing for a long period of time, you kind of learn to emulate the mannerisms of connection and normal emotion. You're just kind of smiling, but on the inside, you feel dead. And, people look at you and they're like, oh, well, you look fine, but they don't understand what's happening on the inside. And that's one of the most frustrating parts about depersonalization, realization, and the other symptoms that come with that. Time distortions, memory issues. Most people have generalized anxiety as well, unless they go into the deepest state of trauma, like this person when they go completely numb. But you can look fine on the outside, and on the inside, it's a completely different story. And so it builds a lot of resentment and frustration because your friends, your loved ones, your spouse are looking at you. They're like, you look fine. But they don't understand that what's on the outside can be completely contrary to what's happening on the inside. Everyone around me says I look fine, that I seem normal, but inside I feel mechanical, like a robot running a program I can't shut off. It's very depressing. The worst part isn't even the anxiety anymore, it's the numbness. I keep waiting to feel something and it doesn't land. My wife hugs me and I know I love her in my head, but it's like there's no warmth anymore. I can see her face, hear her voice, but it's as if there's a sheet of glass between us. That's a very common description of derealization, like a wall of glass between you and reality. I want to reach through it to feel that spark of closeness again, but nothing moves. I watch myself say, I love you, and mean it, yet it echoes back hollow. That emptiness scares me more than the panic ever did because it feels like losing the most human part of me. Yeah, I see this all the time with my clients, and I also see them overcome this, but they'll go to hug their spouse and they just feel nothing. And it's a very, very scary feeling because the fear comes in, well, what if I never can feel connected to my spouse again? How am I going to have a successful long-term relationship? But I'm telling you, if we do things to communicate safety to the brain, body, and nervous system, you can come out of this. Check out the 5 Shifts Masterclass, first pin comment, as well as in my profile on my YouTube channel, description or whatever. Um, Also, the description of this video, it will show you the 5 shifts that you need to make to break out of this. But with that being said, I see my clients break free from this all the time, and they'll have what's called a glimmer, which is where they start to feel connected again. And even after years of suffering, and they thought that they would never feel connected to their spouse, all of a sudden they feel that love again. They feel it physically because now that we've done things to show their nervous system that they're safe, their body has calmed down so much that they can start to feel those physical sensations of positive emotion again. It's beautiful, and it's honestly a big part of why I continue to do what I do. So they said, it's starting to bleed into everything between us. She asked if I'm okay, and I can tell she's trying to reach me, but I can't find the right words to explain this fog. She just doesn't get it. I know she loves me and is trying to understand, but she never does, and I kind of get the feeling that deep down, she feels like I'm overreacting. Yeah, sometimes people look at you and, again, because everything looks fine on the outside, there'll kind of be this look of like, okay, so yeah, you feel like everything's fake and dreamlike, like you feel like you're living in a dream world and you're saying this is the worst thing you've ever been through. Like, okay, okay, honey, like, yeah. And that just makes you feel more frustrated, which only adds another layer of stress. And so just accept that people are not going to be able to understand this unless they've been through it. It's like trying to explain what it's like to walk on the moon. Um, if you've never done it. So like an astronaut trying, which, if we've even been to the moon, 10 had conspiracy theorists. No, whatever. There's a whole argument against that. No, not going to go down that road, but whatever. Like, let's say, we did go to the moon and trying to explain what it's like to bounce up and down and not have any, gravity. Like, it's just impossible. And you have to accept that. These symptoms are not something that can be intellectually understood. You have to have the experience. And so let go of the need for your loved one or your friends or family to understand this, because it's just going to create a layer of resistance. And healing the nervous system is like peeling an onion. There's a lot of layers to this. The last thing you want to do is add yet another layer of trying to get somebody to understand who will never be able to understand, because unless you've been through these symptoms, you just can't get it. Okay. And so that being said, um, I see the worry in her eyes and it makes me feel guilty, like I'm failing at being a husband. Yeah, I mean, it's like, especially I can tell you as a husband, it's like you just want to be there for your wife. You want to be her rock. You want to be, just solid. And, if you're going through these symptoms, it just compromises your ability to be that sense of emotional safety and stability that you want to be. And so, but just so these symptoms are not representative of weakness. It's actually representative of strength. It's your nervous system's ability to adapt in the face of overwhelming circumstances. And you can heal from this. Our body has an innate capacity to heal itself, but we have to do things that communicate safety to the nervous system, not, just acceptance or distraction or random positive activities like just hitting the gym, and just muscling your way through is not the answer to this. Or I'm just going to do cold plunges. I'm going to do Wim Hof breathing. I'm going to do supplements. None of these things are bad. I do all of those things. As far as I do cold plunges, I do sauna 6 days a week. I do Wim Hof breathing. I do all kinds of stuff. But while those things are good, they're not enough. We need to do things that are specific to showing your nervous system that you're safe, with co-regulation being the number one thing. That's actually 45% of what communicates safety to your nervous system, is a safe person that can validate your experience, communicate hope and safety through a secure attachment relationship. So anyway, with that being said, and then of course, self-regulation, getting back in the body, starting to regulate the body and nervous system is really important. We still do the same things, cook dinner, watch shows, but it feels like I'm performing a version of myself that used to be real. She'll laugh at something and I'll smile, but inside I'm scanning for any flicker of connection, any sign that I'm still capable of love the way that I used to be. The more I try to force it, the more distant I feel, and that distance has started to build its own quiet tension between us. So he's saying there's starting to be this kind of unspoken elephant in the room of like, when is this going to end? Am I ever going to be able to feel normal again? And it's just devastating, but I'm telling you, there's nothing but hope for you. Um, the more I try to force it, the more distant I feel, and that distance has started to. Oh yeah, already read that. I can sense her confusion, hurt, and I hate that these symptoms are slowly pushing her away. I don't know how much longer she will hold on if I can't fix this. And I also spend 24/7 constantly going over fears such as what if this is who I am now? What if I broke something in my brain? What if I never feel connected again? I've asked my partner more than once, do I seem different? They say no. She says, I'm the same. And for a few minutes, I calm down, but then my brain says, what if she's just being nice? I don't even know what I'm hoping you'll say. I think I'm scared you'll confirm that my mind already believes. Wait, I think I'm scared that you'll confirm what my mind already believes, that this is permanent, that I crossed some invisible line and can't come back. I miss feeling inside my life instead of observing it. Yeah. So they said, if you read this, thank you. Even writing this made me feel slightly more here. Thanks. And their name is Kevin. So, with that being said, we need to do things that show your nervous system that you're safe, okay? The root issue here is that your body is going into a threat response when there is no threat. This is primarily due to sensory triggers. Okay. Whenever you go through a painful experience, your brain encodes that sensory experience as being associated with threat and assigns the procedure of fight or flight, or maybe even the freeze response to that sensory data. And whenever you experience similar sensory data in the future, your body will subconsciously start to go into these survival procedures of fight, flight, freeze. And the way that a neural pathway works is over time, every time that it fires, it gets faster and more efficient at putting your body into fight, flight, or freeze response. And so that's why time is going by and it's not getting better on its own. And so, if the root issue is that your body is going into a threat response when there is no threat, the solution needs to be congruent with the root issue. We need to do things that evidence, that studies have shown communicate safety to the nervous systems. There are 5 foundations of safety that I teach my clients. And whether you work with me or whoever, which I'd love to take a look at your situation after the 5 Shifts Masterclass, there's an application to apply to work with me and my team. We will take every situation very seriously and do what we can to help. But self-regulation, this is getting back in tune with the body, starting to befriend the body, release the tension, adrenaline, and emotion from the body. The next thing is co-regulation. We already talked about that. The next thing is exposure, facing your triggers, because whatever you avoid, your brain assumes is a lion trying to eat you. We can't run from your body. We can't run from the symptoms. We can't run from sensory environments. We have to face those things to desensitize them. The next thing is actually getting the right neuroscience. Believe it or not, information is important, because if you don't have the right neuroscience, if you have misinformation or no information, your anxious brain is going to fill in the blanks with all kinds of catastrophic fears. So, one of the first things I do with clients is I give them a 21st century understanding of how the brain, body, and nervous system work, just like we're doing in this video, in different states of survival. That's really important. The next is lifestyle adjustments. This is probably some of the things that you've tried: nutrition, hydration, sleep. These are very important, although not enough. It is something that we need to do. So, anyway, with that being said, that's what you need to focus on. Watch the 5 Shifts Masterclass. It goes into a lot more depth about those things. And I hope you have a good day. Click like if this gave you some hope. Again, subscribe to this family, and I will talk to you soon.